On this special edition of What's Up with Wendy, I've been waiting to talk to her for so long. We're talking about her book, The Gut Method. She's a lifestyle nutritionist, a clinical nutritionist, author, and speaker, but mostly she talks about empowering women and men to live the life they were supposed to. Doesn't that sound perfect? Well, listen in. My special guest today, clinical nutritionist, author, speaker, lifestyle nutritionist. We're going to expand on that because I love that word. I love that phrase, but mostly empowering men and women to live the life they are supposed to live. And doesn't that sound like the dream? It's like it is. It's the perfect dream. And we'll also be discussing her amazing book, The Gut Method. Secrets Beyond Your Plate for a Healthier, More Energetic Life. Don't we all need that? Don't we all want that in our life? I've been waiting to talk to her for so long. Welcome to my show, Sharon Holand Gelfand.
Excuse me. Thank you so much. I've been waiting also to talk to you.
Well, the first of all, when I saw The Gut Method, I just had to see gut, and I said, "Oh, we have a lot in common. There's so much to talk about." But I'll share my story about my gut and my health in a little bit. But let's start from the beginning with you, because you weren't always a nutritionist. You were actually a commercial banker, living this perfect life, husband, kids, house, owned your own business, but something was missing. Let's start from the very beginning.
Oh boy. Actually, if you want to start from the very beginning, I think we're going to need a couch and, a pad of paper to take notes here. I grew up, I'm first generation American. So I grew up with this idea that from my parents, work hard, get good grades, get a good job, and, the house with the 2.2 kids, white picket fence, a dog. And, marry somebody within your religion and, everything's going to be hunky-dory. And I did all of that. We got the dog later on, but I happened to be good with numbers. So I naturally just went into banking and finance, but I hated it. And we weren't encouraged when we were younger to pursue what we love, our passions, the way that I tell my kids now to, work hard, but pursue what you want to do. And so my whole life, not even realizing that I had been riddled with all of these symptoms of lactose intolerance and migraines and really bad periods and eczema and strep throat. I mean, you name it, my body was falling apart. But I kept doing what I was supposed to be doing because I had to live this picture perfect life on the outside and keep everything else bottled up on the inside. But as you know, when you do that, the insides start to fall apart. And my body was sending me all these signals and I was not paying attention. Nobody told me I was sick. I wasn't diagnosed with anything except for what's called a pituitary adenoma, which is a benign brain tumor in the pituitary gland. Whole other story, but it's fine. I'm healthy. And I was going to 6 different doctors on all these different medications, but I was fine. You're healthy, no problem. And it wasn't until one of my kids was diagnosed with Crohn's that all of a sudden I woke up and started asking myself these questions of this doesn't make sense. The doctor is saying, don't worry about food. Don't worry about this. The medication's going to help. And then my son was getting worse. Instead of getting better on the medication, the doctor was like, it's the disease. And my son's crying to me, Mommy, it's the medicine. And it was about a week to 10 days where I started to ask myself, wait a minute, why aren't I listening to my son? And it was one of those epiphanies, Wendy, if I tell
moments.
you, yes, where I was like, holy cow, listen to him. He's crying to you. And thankfully I did because he was right. And that was that first crack in my belief system of like, whoa, what else am I not paying attention to? What else am I not listening to? And hence the whole gut method and listening to your gut of just realizing what our bodies are they're so intuitive. It knows, and nobody's ever taught us how to pay attention. And so his diagnosis was a blessing in disguise. And I went to grad school and just slowly people were like, what are you doing? You seem lighter, you seem better, you've lost weight, you look fantastic. And they were the ones and my son to propel me into this business of like, oh my God, if I don't know this, how many other women don't know this? And It just opened up a whole new door for me.
So you started on that journey. Were you still working at that time that you started that journey?
Oh yeah. I was a former commercial lender, and my former husband and I have been divorced. You and I were just discussing, I'm trying to remember how many years.
Right. We've lost track.
We
It's
lost
okay.
track. And we owned a business together. And so during that time, we were getting divorced. My son was diagnosed. It was a perfect storm of chaos. And so I decided, I had started taking classes because I was just curious. I always like to learn. I want to help. And as a result of all of this and going to grad school, I stopped. I couldn't do everything. So my ex was buying the business from me. We were splitting up. And I just focused on, let me go to grad school. Let me help my kids. Let me be there for them. And then from there, the business, my nutrition business, just started to expand naturally as a result of everything that I was doing.
Amazing. Your whole story, when I saw your book, The Gut Method, everyone must read this book, Secrets Beyond Your Plate for a Healthier, More Energetic Life. I wish I had seen this book when my journey started. It would have been a lot easier for me. And I am going to talk about that too. I don't mean to keep teasing it. We talk about the gut, and I learned so much from your book. When you created the gut method, people don't realize that what you feel, what you doing, what your life, everything affects your gut. What are the signs we need to look for?
Oh, great question, because the signs are different for everybody. And, the gut method stands for G, is like getting connected to like the symptoms that your body's feeling. So, it just to what you said, it's not just, the foods that you're eating, which can be, you might get IBS, you could have eczema, you could have a scratchy throat, or allergies, or a runny nose, or headaches. Like, I have a huge list of symptoms that are both physical and emotional. Because even, recently articles were out in the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times about the direct correlation between gut health and depression, right? So there's so many physical and emotional signs to pay attention to. And those are just a few. Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling anxiety? And the key is to write things down and to keep track of it. We're such a society that's built on instant gratification, answers now, and lose 10 pounds in 5 days, get 6-pack abs, and, go on this diet. But we're looking at it completely wrong. And we have to look at this holistic lifestyle of, it's all the sums of the pieces together that makes up our health.
Like, people should sit down and write things that describe them. If they're overwhelmed, if they're exhausted, do you exercise? Do you eat well? I can't lose weight. I've tried this. I mean, I listen to and I see so many people, they're on this diet, they're on this cleanse, they're on this whatever, but it's like, are they really getting to the root of the issue? Because you could exercise till you're blue in the face and still not lose that weight and still have issues. So I like everything that you do and everything that you treat. It's like a lifestyle. You're like the lifestyle nutritionist. Mm-hmm. It's like you sit there and you listen to the people. It's not just the fat contact. It's fat contact. It's not just the fat. It's not just what you're eating. It's more than that. It's everything. And right. When people come to see you, what do they mostly come to see you for?
Mostly it's the overwhelm and the anxiety, a lot of IBS, right? But mostly it's like they're just so overwhelmed and annoyed because they've tried everything. And just as to your point, they tried everything. They even eat well and they exercise and they think they're doing everything right, but something is off. And they go to their practitioners and they're not getting their answers. The answers are, it's normal. You're getting older, relax a little bit more. But there's so much in the root of the gut microbiome, of the bacteria, the dysfunction that's going on, and our liver and its ability to detox properly. They're just, right, it's all these dots. So they come to me when they just they've been throwing spaghetti at the wall, gluten-free spaghetti.
Right. So let's talk about what happened to you. When I'm backing up a little bit. So your son was diagnosed with Crohn's. You became a you studied, you got your degree. How did you treat him? How did you cure him or help him, not cure him, but get him balanced out, I guess you could say, or on the right track and feeling better, and yourself at the same time, because you talk about, yourself and your pantry and educating yourself, and you got introduced to a healthier you too at the same time.
Yeah. Great question. So as I was taking my classes and just learning about what foods do to us, and it's not low fat and it's not high fat and it's not high protein and it's not taking out specific food groups unless your body is sensitive or allergic to something. As I started to learn, what I discovered was we hate being deprived, all of us. No, we don't like to be told, no, you can't, right? It's like telling your kid, don't touch the stove, it's hot, don't touch. They're going to touch it because they're curious. So instead, it's what can I start adding in? Because we don't realize that when we're eating what's called like the SAD diet, the standard American diet, our tongues are coated with all these chemicals and preservatives that we're not actually able to taste our food. And to my son, he was not only just like tired and he was losing weight and not doing well until he was diagnosed. He was also very cranky and very moody. So it was that connection of the gut and brain. And so I started to just like add things in first. And the more that I was adding in whole foods and nutrient dense foods and alkalizing foods and foods to help clean my liver and some supplements, it was only then that the shift started happening where we all started kicking out those sugar cravings and carb cravings because our bodies were getting the minerals and the nutrients that it needed. So as we started to do that and add in those supplements, my son was able to get off quite a few of his medications. He was on this medicated cream for his eczema. He was taking something for, his allergies, and he also had like an acid reflux and the Crohn's. So he is still on a medication, but eats really well. And interestingly, and this is with all of us, going back to, you can eat as well as you want and exercise. Stress management is huge. And so for my son, he's learning how to manage that stress that works for him. Because if we don't manage our stress, we start to release cortisol. That throws off everything, or insulin and other hormones. So again, going back to the holistic, the more that we added in, the happier we became because the anxiety and stress started to dissipate. Our symptoms, my symptoms completely disappeared. And I kind of turned around one day. I was like, wait, what did I just do here? Holy cow, because what I was trying to do was get healthy first. Your body needs to get healthy first. As it gets healthy, then the dis-ease and some of your chronic conditions and the IBS will disappear because you're giving your body what it needs. Plus, I started to do the specific at-home testing of stool testing to see what's going on. Do I have parasites? Do I have overactive bacteria, overgrowth of different fungi and things that just don't belong there, and pathogens, which unfortunately are not all covered when you go to your regular practitioner because they're trained to look at specific things, whereas the gut testing that I do is much more comprehensive.
I know. I think everyone should have that done. And I don't know why the doctors, your general practitioner, doesn't do that from the start. If you just tune in, I'm talking to Sharon Holand Gelfand. She's a clinical nutritionist. Her book, The Gut Method, Secrets Beyond Your Plate for a Healthier, More Energetic Life. I like what you said about this, and that's why I brought this up. By changing our pantry and educating myself, I was teaching my children how to live a balanced life with real food. I realized that we had been eating out of a box. As a busy working mom, which most of us are, everything was about easy, pizza, pasta, chicken, etc. You name it. You trusted what the box says. Then you realize, wow, I'm pretty wrong about all this stuff.
Yeah.
So you can't trust that. And you transformed not only your own life, but your children's life and helped your son in a whole different way than what you would have gotten from a regular doctor, which is shocking because everything goes to our gut. I'm going to share briefly my little story. So for a couple of years, most people that listen to my podcast know my dad wasn't well. I wasn't feeling great. My stomach was bloated. I had